Hello, so it says I'm live now. So just before people come onto the chat, don't forget if you want to support the channel, you can either buy the merchandise. There's a Teespring link below. There should be new designs getting added to there at some point. And as well, there's a Patreon thing, or you can do super chats. So I'll go over to the chat now, and hopefully people are on. Excellent, people are on, I should say. If you hear a ticking in the background, it's the Geiger counter, because I'm going to show you something pretty interesting in a moment. Actually, I'm going to go get my helmet, because I should have put that on, because I've got a very cool helmet. You may have briefly seen this on another stream, but I'll put it on. So it's a West German fire helmet, because they basically retrofitted old Stahlhelms to become fire helmets. So let's put it on. And it actually glows in the dark, but I won't be able to demonstrate that very well on the stream, but when I do a video of it, I'll film it in the dark as well as, Yep, don't forget to like the stream. Yep, thank you T55. So this actually has a fairly simple, easy to use strap system. You literally pull one strap over, then you button up the strap onto the other bit of the strap. Some helmets have that design, but this one actually seems to do it well, although I've managed to tangle that strap a bit there. That's alright, it should be fine for what I want to do. Also, this is just a regular stream. What you might notice in the background is I've got my Soviet Civil Defense poster, and I've rearranged it a bit. So there's a GP4 on there now, because there's a picture of a GP4 on there. And I've also got two PTM masks. A blue PTM or green PTM, whatever colour, that kind of looks like turquoise PTM, and the white PTM. So a lot of the masks from that picture are all on there. I just don't have the PY60M or the like very basic kind of rag dust masks. But the sort of PDFs are on there. I did move one of my PDFs into the other room, so I thought I might as well just have one PDF on there. But thanks to the people who donated, because that went towards there. I've also got a weird other communist like postcard thing that came with that poster, and I put up a couple of the Call of Pripyat little poster cards I got from my special edition of that there. So I think the wall looks a lot less cluttered and it looks a lot better like that. So the visor was missing from this, but Mike came up with a very good idea. And once I get the washers for it, I can fit it. But he suggested a mesh chainsaw visor, and you'll probably be able to see if I do that I would be able to fit this on. But I'm just waiting for some washers to come now so I can fit it. But yeah, the actual visor itself is here, like the visor mount. But the visor was missing. But the helmet only cost me £25 anyway. Yeah, thank you very much Laserpoint Production, thank you for the donations again. You can kind of see what some of the money's gone towards recently. The poster to make the background look better, this really cool helmet. And I've got something radioactive, which is why I've got the Geiger counter on. So, well, from what I understand, the actual Stahlhelms themselves are mostly any of the World War II models, because basically West Germany had lots of the Stahlhelms left after World War II. And obviously, because they wanted to deassociate themselves from Nazi imagery, what they ended up doing was getting the Stahlhelms, you know, using them for the fire service basically, so they retrofitted them. So the military just used USM-1 style helmets, but the fire brigade was given the old Stahlhelms. They were painted in fluorescent kind of glow-in-the-dark paint, which I can demonstrate to you. Even though I won't be able to really turn the lights off at the moment to demonstrate this on the stream. If I do that with the flashlight, you might be able to see where it makes like a bit of it glow. Because it's actually, like I said, a really good glow-in-the-dark coating on this. It glows all night long. It does this like snail trail thing with the glow torch, which is cool. Like where you can see it slowly fading after you've moved it across. So yeah, that's cool. So yeah, from what I understand, they just basically retrofitted the Stahlhelms for use in the fire service. You know, they fitted a new line to them with the leather kind of cowl on it, new straps and everything. But it's essentially a World War II Stahlhelm that's been repainted. As far as I'm aware, I mean, it's always possible they did continue producing this helmet just for the fire service, but I'm pretty sure they just used their old surplus Stahlhelms. Yeah, when I film the proper video on it, I'll film it in the dark, the bit where I do it in the glow-in-the-dark bit, not with the webcam, obviously with my proper 1080p camera. And what you'll be able to see then is you'll definitely be able to see when I flick the lights off, you know, the real-time effect of the thing. Unless you live in an area that's high in radon, Zeppelin, no. But now I've got the Geiger counter out, I'm going to show you something cool. I've got another radioactive thing coming in the post. But does anybody recognise what one of these is? Because I actually had to look it up. But my dad knew what it was because they apparently had them in his house in like the 1950s. So it gives you some idea how old something like this is. Any ideas? Yep, it's a lamp thing. What this is it's... I'll just see if it reacts to UV light. I don't think it does. It reacts, I think, to a flame. But I obviously, for sensible reasons, I don't want to strobe that. For sensible reasons, I don't want to... It's like a bit of blue glow in there, but I don't know if that's just like the string cord. See that? I think that's just probably the cord where they've tied it, but yeah. It's not meant to glow under UV anyway. So what this is it's a thorium mantle. Yep, for gas lamps, absolutely correct. And apparently, the idea is if you've got this on a gas lamp, the thorium reacts to the, essentially the flame, and it glows for ages, so it basically amplifies the light. But anyway, watch this. I've turned the alarm sound off, by the way, on this because that gets a bit annoying, but if I turn it to the searching mode, you can see it's not as hot as the Fiesta ware, but it's thorium, nothing to do with radium, thorium. You know, the thing that could be used for nuclear power, but they don't use it for nuclear power because, despite it being safer, you can't apparently make bombs from it. But yeah, they used thorium in those, so they tick under a Geiger counter, which is very cool, because I wanted to get some more different check sources for my Geiger. Also, I've been putting this in with my radiation sources. I figured out, and I don't know why it took me so long to figure this out, this will only register gamma radiation, won't it? Because it's either made out of aluminium or stainless steel. And aluminium can block beta waves, so this is literally going to only respond to gamma. But with the low power gamma sources I have, we are now at exactly 2 Rontgen. So it's not quite 3.6 yet, but to give you some idea, this has to be sitting next to some of my gamma radiation sources for days on end to actually see the needle move. I wonder if this has become slightly irradiated. Nah. It's not been against anything strong enough to actually set it off, but yeah. I'll film a video on this maybe tomorrow, but the only thing is this is going to be one of those things which is going to be a bit boring to show on video because I don't know how well you're actually going to be able to see down it on a camera. But I will demonstrate anyway on camera, like the resetting using the DP66 Geiger counter, because I don't know if there's any tutorials on that. And was it Daniel in the chat the other week? He was really good at explaining to me how to do it, so I'm going to hopefully try and explain some of that in the video. I don't know how well it will come across on video, but the SLR was from D&B Militaria. They're getting a lot more expensive now. When I got mine, it was under £400. Lots of deactivated SLRs to like new EU spec, which is even more restricted than what mine is, are like over £1,000 I think now. So yeah, it depends what you want to pay for them. I wouldn't pay £1,000 for a deactivated rifle, especially not one as common as the SLR. Now, I've got a couple of like model aircraft, but not airfix kind of thing, kind of like die-cast ones. Well, in theory, the longer I spend next to radioactive material like this, yes, it would damage me. But the thing is, these are so low in exposure to radiation, as I was saying with this. It's only just got to 2 Rontgen after several days of being next to gamma sources. If I put this under my pillow every night and slept with things like this under my pillow, then yes, it would cause health effects. To just hold it up for a little bit of a Geiger counter, no. You have to kind of understand when you have things like nuclear bombs and Chernobyl, just how much more radioactive they are than, you know, things like Fiestaware. As much as I think you'd be an idiot to actually eat off of Fiestaware, especially because you risk eating potentially some of the uranium glaze if it comes off the plate while you're eating. Things like that, as much as they make the Geiger counters tick quite a lot, they aren't actually all that radioactive in terms of, you know, radiation. Well, no, don't need one, because the thing is with a Geiger counter, you can check how far the radiation gets. And look, what you can see of this is I've got it on the searching mode. See how close you have to get it before it even starts registering on the Geiger. And it will start dropping down again in a moment. So basically, as long as you're not, like I said, not sleeping with it under your pillow, it's not a problem. Because with radiation, danger comes from time of exposure, how high the dose is, and the distance from you and the radioactive object. And obviously, as I've got these in a load of bags on the opposite side of the room, where I sleep and whatever, and where people would sit in this room, you wouldn't even get a reading. There. So yeah, that gives you some idea, if you weren't aware. Well, if you want to work out what the black gas mask is on the wall, you can refer to the picture there. Look, it shows you. It's literally on the picture. Although it's in grey on the picture, but it's the same mask. Yeah. Well, like I said, Mike, I wouldn't be worried about radiation, but yeah, in theory, there's nothing stopping me getting a lead box if I want to keep all this. What I might do at some point is do something a little bit better than this. Just because, as I said, the danger with this is... You know, you still get some stuff coming through the bag, but as I said, not when you get further away from it. But if I was to shove the Geiger counter in that bag, then yeah, it's going to tick pretty well. But at some point, I might see if I can get a big thick steel or lead box just to put my radiation stuff in, just because I'm getting more and more of it now. It would be good to just get a proper box for it, but I've got a locking coin box, you know, like a metal coin box. I wonder if I could get something like that and just maybe put a bit of lead in it. eBay, search German fire helmet on eBay, plenty on there. Some of them don't have the visors on. This one has like a visor missing the thing. Oh, now you're on, Mike, just to show you. I know I sent you a picture of this. I haven't got the washers yet, obviously, but there you go, look. Yeah, that works perfectly on there, as you said. All I need now is the washers to keep it on. But in terms of, yeah, the actual chainsaw thing fitting it, you were completely right. It's got the amount you have to pay, Ernie, is going to depend totally on the gun. So you'd have to name a gun and then try and find different sites selling it to get an idea of the average of what they cost. Things like PPSH-41s you can maybe get for under £200 if you're lucky. Things like SLRs now are over £1,000, so I wouldn't recommend getting an SLR if they cost that much. But things like a PPSH or an AK, if you can get them for under 200, then they're worth it, I'd say. For the person asking about gun ranges, yes, there are gun ranges in the UK where you can rent guns to shoot them, but there are none near me, and we've had this conversation on these streams, not necessarily saying with you, but we've had these conversations quite a few times, so I don't want to keep repeating the thing of, yes, there are gun ranges where you can rent guns, but unfortunately I'm not near one with any guns I'd be interested in. But to give you a too long didn't read explanation, there used to be a gun range about 10 miles from my house where they did historical rifle shooting. So things like Lee Enfields, muskets, you know, most World War II bolt action rifles, where you could rent the gun for the day and shoot it at, you know, because it was like the gun club that owned them. But sadly they're not around anymore because they use an old military firing range, and the firing range the local armed police use. But sadly, when I looked into joining that group, it's actually dissolved. Otherwise, yeah, I would have probably joined that group. Look in the background, Ryder. What's that there? What is it? I've got a 22 air rifle. I quite like it. But again, I like the break barrel ones. You know, either springers or gas rams, where you cock the gun, you know, from your own arm movement of loading it. I wouldn't want one which is a pre-charged pneumatic. Two of my friends have PCP rifles who shoot at actual gun ranges. And they're lovely rifles, don't get me wrong, they're incredibly accurate, very well machined, you know, very smooth bolts and everything on them. But the thing is, I have no interest in a PCP air rifle just because they cost a lot of more money, and I wouldn't have any interest in it for, you know, backyard plinking. Anybody who asks a GP4 question or whatever, again, mods, feel free to time them out for a bit, because they can see them right there in the background, so they're obviously being thick on purpose. Well, I'm going to do a video soon, War Medic, testing various things to see if they stop radiation. Now, one I will do on a video, but I'm quite interested in this. Yeah, Swiss masks are NATO threaded, especially the newer ones. I don't know about World War sort of II era Swiss masks, but modern ones are, yeah. Right. We can test this helmet to see if it blocks radiation. So what we can do... Chuck that over there. Right, get this back out. Right, and in this bag, I have a chunk of Fiesterware, and I have the little bit of Americanium from the smoke alarm, which you can see there. So what I'm going to do is the Americanium does release gamma radiation, so I'm going to hold it up against the helmet there, look, and then I'm going to put the Geiger counter inside. And does it tick? Currently it only seems to be... oh, it's ticking slightly higher than normal, but not as high as usual. So to give you an idea, I don't know if you'll be able to see that on camera. Yeah, because of the cowl, you're probably not going to be able to see this very well, but the reading is slightly higher than background, but this helmet is blocking most of the gamma radiation, surprisingly. Like we said before, I'd be very interested to see, because I trust an MC1 filter more than, you know, like a GP5 filter, but primarily, as I've said, just because the top of that filter actually has a proper particle layer, not just a bit of cotton wool. So it'd be very interesting, because they are common GOST filters on the surplus market. But again, it depends if you can afford to test it, because if it's going out of your way too much, then don't. You know, I just assume they're not really safe due to age. What I'd say, minifig maker, is if you want to use it for airsoft, before you ever risk wearing it to an airsoft game, get an airsoft rifle that's full power and shoot the mask at a few yards range several times in the eyepieces. If they don't crack or splinter or anything, then it might be okay. If you get any little cracks in them or anything, do not risk it, because obviously you really don't want your eye being shot out or polycarbonate shards lacerating, you know, around your eyes or whatever. That's really weird, because Asbestos obviously isn't on my block list, but we were saying about this the other day with Weapon Collector. There's things YouTube censors because, as creators, we put certain words on like a block list, but those are ones where if somebody says them, it just comes up as comment pending for review. Now, thanks again for all the donations. But the interesting thing is, when there's certain things like that, your comments are just simply not appearing at all, which I can't, you know, figure out why. Oh, you're not on Twitch tonight. Right, cool, Mike. I don't know if I'll go much beyond an hour tonight, just simply because I worked all day today, was quite tired. Then, I don't know if you saw the message, you probably did. I had to give one of my co-workers a lift home because it was Sunday and he couldn't get a lift home from his uncle. It would have taken him like 2 hours to get home from work, so his uncle gave me a bit of petrol money and he said, could I drive him home? You know, it's a 30-minute drive there and back for me, so... You know, I agreed to do that, so I don't mind doing people a favour like that, but obviously then it meant tonight I had a very long, hard day at work, and then it was still an extra 30 minutes before I could get home and even start relaxing, so I had to give a co-worker a lift. So I don't know if I'll go much beyond an hour. It depends how I feel when I'm doing the stream, because sometimes, like now, I think I'm waking up a bit more now I'm interacting with people. Right, Bing, what I do at the weekends, which is like proper employment work, not YouTube, is I work as a kitchen porter, or like just a cleaner, general kind of person in a restaurant that's in a local garden centre, so it's very close to my house. It means I don't have to go far to work. But it means there's lots of washing up, like putting things through dishwashers, cleaning tables, mopping floors, all that kind of thing. It's kind of a very hard blue-collar job, if you know what I mean, like physical labour job, but I'm paid over minimum wage, and the UK minimum wage actually went up recently, which was good. Although, again, that might inflate other things in the economy. But, you know, in terms of, like, there's no commute time to my job normally. I can drive to work in less than 5 minutes. most of that time is me spent, you know, waiting at certain junctions for cars to clear to go past the junctions. Yeah, I do that sometimes, Ian. The pay is good enough that, especially if I worked a few more days per week, yes, in theory I could rent and live on my own, but then I'd be losing nearly my entire wage slip to that, and it means no more YouTube videos, basically, or whatever. Yeah, as I've already said in the stream at the beginning, there's a GP4 there. Look, GP5, PDF, PTM1 in green, or blue, whatever colour it is, GP4, Y2K, PTM in white, GP5M in black. See, I've got most of the Soviet masks from that chart displayed around it, because I think that looks good. In theory, Zeppelin, and this is something obviously all surplus sellers that knowingly sell GP5 filters break the rules on. In the UK, you can't sell anything anymore that contains asbestos, as far as I'm aware. There might be certain building legislation where you're allowed to do it, but as far as I'm aware, asbestos is almost totally banned in the UK. You know, you can't sell anything with it in for postal protection reasons and protecting the people, you know, that could be unwillingly exposed to it. There's nothing banning you from owning asbestos, but obviously if you dispose of it, you have to dispose of it safely, because obviously there's massive health risks with, especially with massive asbestos sheets some people used to have in their loft and, you know, big industrial buildings, you know, so if people were just allowed to fly tip it, you know, that could potentially give quite a lot of people cancer. However, something quite interesting that you can find out on Google is in Plymouth, the UK government did decide to dump thousands of World War II gas mask filters in a landfill. So there's some photos somebody took where they went to this gas mask dumping ground. There's all these rotten Mark V masks, but primarily just, you know, the red, orange, blue asbestos and charcoal filters Britain used in World War II. And you can just see piles and piles of them that have been barely covered in dirt, just rusting away with the asbestos and charcoal spilling out. But yeah, so in theory, this is the funny thing. There's a big collector's market for World War II gas masks and things like that, but there was a hoo-ha made about it because obviously they have asbestos filters, but nobody actually enforces that. And, you know, it would still annoy me as a collector, because, you see, I can look at this in two ways, right? One thing that does really piss me off is the people who sell GP5 filters know they've got asbestos in and go, no, it's just activated charcoal, there's no asbestos in here, because they're fucking, you know, exposing people to asbestos. You know, potentially, although as we said, there's not much asbestos in those filters in the grand scheme of things, and if the filter's intact it won't actually leak out. But the point is that, you know, you get sellers that basically lie about GP5 filters saying they're perfectly safe to breathe through, that are exposing people to asbestos, but then at the other end of it, I wouldn't personally want, you know, as a collector, to not be able to buy certain masks because they have asbestos filters, because I'm not going to do anything stupid with them. You know, I don't breathe through my old World War II masks. Certain masks I keep in bags that I've, you know, done up with pegs, you know, polythene bags inside their satchels, so there's no risk of asbestos leakage. I'll tell you the instruments I've got, David, and then I can tell you the only one that I can even come close to playing. Right, I've got a piano and a couple of different keyboards. I've got a violin, I've got an acoustic guitar, electric guitar, and a theremin. And I think I've got a recorder, or you know, a little cheap recorder somewhere as well. I've also got a jaw harp or a Jew harp, whatever you want to call them, you know, the little wang, wang, wang that they used in a lot of the spaghetti westerns. Would you like to take a guess which of those instruments I can play? No new swords since any of the videos on them, because swords are quite expensive and I've not spotted anything that I'd like to collect. Yeah, Peach is right, piano. I'm not going to play anything on it now because I don't have any sheet music in front of it that I'm going to read, but just to prove it. There goes a bit of Grieg for you. I know that's not in the right key because that's in A minor I was playing it, which is Michael Jackson's favourite musical key, funnily enough. But it's actually in B minor, I think Grieg did that. But yeah, I've got a piano there. I really ought to dust it off properly and actually get back into playing it. It's the closest I can come to playing an actual instrument. But you know, in general, musical instruments are one of those things where I wish I actually had more time. But again, it's me making up excuses. If I found the time to do it, you know, like I said, every day I'm going to sit down for like 10 minutes, 20 minutes to an hour per day and play the piano, I could probably get quite good at it again. You know, I can read sheet music. I never took any gradings, but I passed GCSE music with, I think, a B, a couple of marks off an A. I got A star for the composition part of it, but the listening exam, like most people, is where I lost most of the marks, because a lot of that is like, I think they've changed it now and made it easier, but when I did it, it was where you have questions that were almost opinion-based, but they want a factual answer for it. So they said, like, what moods is the composer trying to make you think, you know, or whatever, when he wrote this piece? Well, that's completely opinion-based, isn't it? Because somebody could say this is a somber piece of music, or somebody could say this is a happy piece of music. And obviously I know for some pieces of music it's going to be quite obvious, but you know what I mean? When you have opinion-based questions in something that's meant to be a factual paper and there's only one right answer, that's the stupid way of going. So anyway, yeah, everybody in my year lost loads of marks for that, and I think now the exams for music are much more like a kind of historical paper, like what year was this composer born, what year did they write this piece. Yeah, exactly, Richard. Like I've said, there's no point for me even thinking about it at the moment, because the rental prices mean that I'd have no spare money. And yeah, the price of mortgages and everything is insane, especially in my area. Like I was saying, in my area, I think a one-bedroom like house in an undesirable location, maybe like no driveway or garage, you know, garage, whatever you want to call it, to park in, you know, like the worst possible single bedroom house you could think of would be at least 300 grand plus, probably closer to 400 grand. So you know, basically the only way people get houses now is inheriting them, unless they have a long-term partner where they both save money for ages and get a mortgage, and then they spend the rest of their life paying the mortgage off. Right, the person that's trolling's just got a block just for the reason they keep asking stuff in the background, do I have it? Yeah, exactly, Richard. Like, the piano is a thing that I'll sometimes go through periods where I'll play it every day for a couple of weeks, and then I'll have ages where I don't even touch it for a month or whatever, more months. I've not done any mask tests for this helmet yet, but it'll probably be similar results to what the Stahlhelm from World War II could be worn with. But again, the design should work with a lot of things, I imagine. Oh wow, Mikey's gone. As I've said a few times in this stream, minifig, but you might have not been on when I said it, it's a West German fire helmet, where they converted old World War II Stahlhelms. I don't think they actually made new helmets specifically for this, but I think they had all their post-war stock of Stahlhelms, which they didn't want to give to the military for obvious reasons, because they were denazifying the country. So they just painted them glow-in-the-dark green or bright white, fitted them with like fire attachments like visors, although this one's missing the actual glass or mesh bit from the visor. You know, like the cowls to protect your neck from the flames and everything. And then reuse them for like emergency service helmets, basically. What, the gas mask sign? It's actually come away from the wall. You might even be able, I don't think you can on the stream, but it's come away from the wall because I've got it attached in two places, basically. I've got it screwed into the wall at the top, and then on the right side I put a load of blue tack and stuck it on, but it's come loose from where I stuck it. I might have to use like some really strong double-sided tape to get it flush against the wall again. But you can find them on eBay. Just type gas mask sign into eBay and they come up. Apparently, from what some other users were telling me, it's an old Warsaw Pact sort of military firing range sign, where they had, you know, ones for tanks, explosives, you know, like dangers, and that's the one that indicates that you need a gas mask on because of like chemicals or radiological material or whatever. So it's like a CBRN sign basically. As I just said, Riley, that's what it is. Although it wasn't designed as a fire helmet, it's a military style helmet that they repurposed as a fire helmet. Yeah, the one I bought was like £20 odd with free postage. I also bought the dosimeter. Or dosimeter, whatever you want to call it, dosimeter. For about £6 from the same seller, so we bundled them together. As said, you're not really going to be able to see through that very well with the webcam. Otherwise, this is quite interesting. But as said, we're at 2 Rontgen at the moment. But yeah, apparently, this helmet does protect you from radiation to a decent extent. But again, this is from low, you know, like low what's the word for it? Low dosage, I guess. Sources. If you've tried to walk up to something like the number 4 reactor with a helmet like this on, as you know what happened to the actual firemen at Chernobyl. Helmets like this would do fuck all to protect you against that much radiation. That's cool. Have you got it all working, Yerba, or do you need to fit it to other things to work it? Maybe in a week or two, Zeppelin. I don't want to make political streams every week. I thought it might even be like a once a month thing, but because a lot of people wanted one after the first one, I did a second one, but I want to leave it for a bit now. As said, the regular streams aren't for politics. I don't really know EH Music. It could be a case of they made too many in one area and they were issued to more people. It could be like a Home Guard thing, because my granddad said he had a civil duty mask when he was in the Home Guard before he was then in the British Army during D-Day. But again, it could just be a production thing, or it could be just while they're posing for a photo they were given the masks to wear. Yeah, don't forget to like the stream, everybody. It does help me out, because YouTube seems to share streams more where more people click like or whatever. Even dislikes actually help for some reason, but obviously likes are preferable, really. When you say goggles, do you mean like separate goggles, or do you mean the lenses in a normal mask? Because I know the Canadian C4 has like giant bug eye looking lenses. Yeah, like EH Music's just said Airbus C4, which is the Canadian C4. No, sadly I don't think I have any mining safety appliances filters. Unless you can find that online. I know when I've bought some things like that before, though, that you get a massive list of languages, so they only have like a tiny little bit like that big in English, you know, then you have like German, French, Dutch, you know, and like 20 other languages all on little sheets of the paper. It folds out like a map. What I can show you, because it is here, if any of my Polish viewers are on, this is the booklet that came with the big red filter. FP203. So what it does in here is it actually tells you the gases it stops. Some of these are actually, you can tell what they are in English from the Polish because the words are very similar. Others I have used Google Translate and taken a picture and it says. So I guess the first one, aceton, is acetone. Lots of different types of alcohol, as you can see. So some are like methylated, some are ethanol kind of based. Ammoniac, that will be ammonia. There's quite a few in here. Benzene by the look of it. Chlor, which I guess is chlorine. Loads of different chlorine based ones. Chlorec, chlorine, you know, all those. Yeah, I mean sadly this is a bit faded, but it is interesting, isn't it? Chloroform, so you couldn't get date raped the old fashioned way if you had one of these red Polish filters. Not that actually, apparently it doesn't work like the movies, you know, where somebody has a chloroform rag and they shove it over somebody's face and they get knocked unconscious instantly. Basically, from what I can understand, is that if you ever when they use chloroform for like surgery, they had to constantly keep a rag over somebody's face to stop them waking up. Because apparently as soon as you take the chloroform rag away, somebody starts to wake up, you know, and it takes them a while of having, like, with both ether and chloroform, the rag over their face to fall unconscious. I just found that quite interesting. Mine didn't even come in a plastic bag, laser point. It was just literally the filter wrapped up in, you know, like the parcel box, and then this was just literally next to the filter. Phosgen, although that's with F, not PH. I guess that's phosgene. What else is there? Nitrobenzene. Is that nitroglycerin, do you think? Or nitrobenzene, is that a thing? Solvent. Do you reckon that's solvent? But yeah, this is quite interesting. It shows you the concentrations the filter works against them as well. Cool. RAF Cosford. Did you see the Stuka? Or am I thinking of a different... No. Is it RAF Cosford the Stuka's at? Let me have a look. Which is the one that's in London? Or is Cosford the one where they have, like, the Vulcans and... No, Cosford's the one with the Cold War display, isn't it? You know, I've been to Cosford. What's the one in London called? I've bloody forgotten. But the one in London's where they have one of the 2 surviving Stukas in the world. My best deal, Daniel, I don't know if this technically was my best deal, but it's one I consider one of my best deals. I've got an East German greatcoat, you know, like the really nice wool, you know, proper full 100% wool East German coats that the officers had and I think regular troops had. But it's a really nice, well-made greatcoat, really fashionable if you wanted something that looks a bit Third Reichish, you know, a bit Hugo Boss, but actually not a Nazi thing, which is nice. Although it did belong to another, you know, authoritarian state. But I got that for like £10, I think, in total. And it was because it had a really low starting price and postage on it, and I was the only one that bid, and I felt really bad for the seller on that. And it wasn't even like I bid at the last minute. I bid like when I first saw it listed on eBay, and then a week went and nobody bid on it, and I got this East German greatcoat for like £10. I don't think it is Duxford, the one with the Stuka. Is it Hendon? Yeah, it's Hendon, isn't it? RAF Hendon, the one in London. Yeah, Hendon's the one in London. Yeah, because if you search RAF Hendon Stuka, it's the one where, yeah, they've got a Stuka. And it's one of only 2 surviving Stukas in good condition, as far as I'm aware. Because there's also a Stuka, I think, in an American museum somewhere, but that's missing some parts. But the one in Hendon is actually in good enough condition that apparently, you know, they would be able to get it to fly if it was demothballed and had a couple of parts replaced. Oh, thank you very much. Ah, thank you very much, Mink and Match, if I'm saying your name right. I'm really glad you enjoyed the videos. That's very nice of you. Thank you. But yeah, you can get FP5 filters for the GP5 on eBay, JJ. There's also other Polish normalised filters that would fit it, and I think some Chinese filters would fit it as well. I'm thinking, yeah, if I can find space, it'd have to be a lot smaller than that one, but I might be able to all get more postcard kind of things. But I'd love to get some more CBRN style posters that have, you know, like documentation on respirators, because I think that would look really good on that one. But yeah, thank you very much for that, Mink and Match. Cheers. As I said before, you know, money like that goes towards stuff like the posters in the background, or gear like this, although I sent this Geiger counter for free, but like the helmet on my head, this thorium mantle. I wonder if I'll get a slightly higher reading from this if I take it out of the bag. Yeah, let's touch this radioactive stuff with my bare hands, why not? Where's the bit that where it opens? I'm guessing this side. I know it's stuck down, but... Yeah, there you go. There's some things that say it's a G model, but it's not a G model because it doesn't have the big cannons on it. Right. Yeah, if I can find something like that, I'll get something like that for sure. But, yeah, it's going to depend what I can find. But, you inhale through thorium laser point productions, that's probably more dangerous than, old asbestos filters, but... Yeah, let's hold it via the string. I just had a horrible thought. Imagine having a wank into that. Or using it as a condom. I know it wouldn't work because it's got holes in it, but still. Imagine what that would do to your dick. Oh dear. Oh, I think we're over 3.6 Rontgen. Don't give people ideas on the internet because I'm sure that will happen. I've got an idea actually. I'm going to definitely need to wash my hands after this stream. But what would happen if I literally got the Geiger counter and put this on top of it? Like that. Yeah, you put loose tea leaves in it. Do like all that radioactive quackery shit they used to do in the day. Like, let's make our plates out of radioactive material. Let's make our drinking glasses out of radioactive material. Let's make radioactive enemas. Let's make a device that puts radiation into your drinking water. What do you mean by RD90 gas masks, Rich? Do you mean RD40? Because RD40 is the name of the NATO thing. It's at 4.15. I think it actually gets a higher reading if you have both bits across. Like, let's say I fold it again, so I have it folded like that. I reckon that will give the highest reading, because I reckon that way it's, you know, like, more radioactive thing across the bit that reads the radiation. You know what I mean, the Geiger tube. 4.5. .98. We're at 5.4. So let me put that back in its bag now. Just to be safe. That I cut open. It won't reseal. Yeah. Okay, so that's back in there. Okay, so what did we get to as the highest number? Was it 5.4 or something? It was somewhere in the 5 region, wasn't it? The thing on my head hasn't changed since the last time I was asked, just to say. Anyway, let's see what Fiestaware gets. Right. Let's see if Fiestaware gets a higher read. Oh yeah, much higher reading. Look at that. If you look at that bit, you can see on there. Let's hold it up so you can see. If I put my thumb there, see where how much higher the Fiestaware is. That's 22, 14. But yeah, the other thing was like 5. It comes up as a held for review word, but otherwise you can post it. The Chinese 3M full face mask clones might be a good price. I don't know, but you'd have to get one which has good straps. And hopefully an RD40. Now this is going to be the most... I don't know if it's the most radioactive. I don't have an alpha detector, but... that side doesn't put too much through. What about that one? I think that one's more radioactive, but it's not as much as the Fiesta Ware, is it? Yeah, it's tiny compared to the Fiesta Ware. But that's the... it's going to be so small you can barely see it. Americanium, or whatever it's called, from the gas mask filters. Oh, I dropped it. Dropped it into my lap. Brilliant. Ooh. Ooh. Yeah, definitely need to wash my hands after finishing the stream. But see it? That's the Americanium, or whatever it's called. There we go. I'll put that back in its bag. Yes, today, children, you learnt about radiation and what an idiot does handling it like a moron. But saying that, as I said, this is still very low doses compared to stuff that's dangerous radiation. I just need to make sure I wash my hands properly afterwards. Wow, the problem is Laser Point Productions, and thank you very much again. The only issue is, the only uranium ore I've seen for sale is coming from Australia. And I imagine UK Customs would throw such a shit fit over me ordering that I get arrested. If there was the UK seller with uranium ore, I would buy some. You know, because I like to live dangerously. But I wouldn't buy it from an Aussie, not because I wouldn't trust the Aussie not to send it, but I imagine UK Customs would go absolutely ape if they found out I'm buying uranium. They probably think I'd be making a bomb. Well, a GP5's a GP5. Just don't use a GP5 filter. Yeah, that's the thing, like I was saying, on eBay, I can see Australian sellers that ship to UK that have it. It's just, I'm very worried what would happen when UK Customs find out I'm buying uranium in the post. Well, what I can do, Rich, to test my mouse and keyboard is just move the Geiger over them. Now, this doesn't have an alpha probe on it, you know. But no, it's not ticking. As I said, it's not like I've Chernobyl my desktop by holding the stuff. Yeah. I mean, I can see two things happening, Laser Point. One would be funnier than the other one. The not funny one is Customs sees it. I get arrested, or at least questioned and everything, for why have you been ordering radioactive materials. And the press would say, you know, like, UK nutjob who collects gas masks wanted to build his own nuclear reactor or nuclear bomb using uranium ore bought from Australia. That's the not as funny one. The funny one is one of the dickheads at Customs steals my uranium ore, takes it home and does something stupid with it, then that person dies of radiation exposure. And you might be saying this doesn't sound very funny, but bear with me. And then it gets blamed on the Russians, where they say Putin had this person assassinated with Novichok uranium. Plutonium. For personal armour, no, because Osprey armour is designed as a plate carrier for military people. You want, like, one of the police-style vests, which I've not even got in this room anymore. Well, actually, I have got it in this room. Hang on. One of these is what I'd recommend for personal use. Something like that, a front and back Kevlar and stab resistant panel. Yeah, although I'm tanning quite well at the moment, Mike. But on my bookshelf there, I have a book. I don't want to show the front cover on the stream for obvious reasons, but you might even be able to work out what the front cover is if I read you out the name of the book, for people who know history. Inside the Third Reich by Albert Speer. Now, what sort of cover do you think Inside the Third Reich would have on it? They have a charisma rating of 3, Daniel, but that's it. I think in Fallout it's like +3 for sexy sleepwear. Chinese filter, definitely, Laurie, because modern Chinese filters are pretty good, from what I understand. It's not the SS, but, yep, Mike's got it right. A book about the Third Reich has a big swastika on the front. So, you know, I'd be a Nazi for owning that, even though it's the guy that talks about how Hitler ruined everything. It's a Hindu symbol laser point production, don't you know? But yeah, I've also got some of my Volks masks, or Folks masks, whatever you want to call them, from World War II. 2 of those have swastika stamps still on them that are intact. You know, I've got quite a lot of stuff that if people wanted to take it out of context... What's on yours, Peach? Over 100 unknown user. I don't actually know anymore how many I have. Count up all my videos of different masks and then you might know. Ooh, I don't want to do too much on the helmet. I was rubbing it because some of the paint's flicking off. Also, for anybody who wondered, this isn't radium paint or anything interesting on the helmet. That's a good place to have your Geiger counter, isn't it? This is a useful helmet, man. You can stick your Geiger in it. There we go. It's like a retro GoPro mount. MG42s are cool, but I think lots of World War II guns are cool. For you, Kevin, I will answer you. And the people who have come on since I last said it. It's a German Stahlhelm that after World War II, as far as I'm aware, was repainted and converted into a fire helmet by West Germany. Because apparently that's what they do with their old Stahlhelms. Because, you know, they didn't want to repurpose them for military use because they might get accused of, you know, carrying on the Reich or something. So they went, well, we'll give them to firemen. So firemen have these really cool glow in the dark, which you won't be able to see really on the stream. Let me flick that light off a second. And then get this torch again. Yeah, you can kind of see on the camera how that works. But tell you what, let me shine the light on one side of it. Then when I shine the light, when I take the light off, you'll see that one side of this helmet glows more than the other side. Right, ready? See? That side's glowing more than the other side. Isn't that cool? And I could do the same with the other side just to prove that it's not just that one side that will do it. You know, it's not a trick of the light or something. Let me take this out. See? Now that bit's glowing. M1 Garand's very cool, it's just a shame it didn't have a proper magazine. Are you thinking of, oh, what's his name? I should know that bloke's name, because Cunt and the Gang did several songs about him. What was the bloke's name? Barry George? Was it Barry George? Barry George, yeah, it is, because you said Barry something. It's Barry George, isn't it, Mike? Barry George. Because in one of the songs he says Getting Bummed by Barry George on the 12 Days of Christmas one. And what's the other one? And in Michael Jackson tribute he goes, "Can you write me a song like you did about Barry George? I really like that one." Or something along those lines. But one of my favourite lines in the Michael Jackson tribute when he says, "Do you want it in the style of Take That or Westlife?" But Michael said, "To be honest, I prefer boys to men." You know, just my fucked up sense of humour there. My British Mark III and Mark IV NBC suits all have the hood, Jacob. I don't know of any British I don't know of any British sort of Cold War and after NBC suits that didn't have hoods, because the hoods were built onto the suits. Let me Google that, because I don't recognise the name of that off the top of my head. RL1 3986. Oh, well, that's a Volksmask. Okay, what you've got there looks like a VM40. Yeah, that's a VM40, but for some reason people seem to think it's called that. Yeah, that's the Volksmask or Volksmask 40. From what I can tell, from looking at pictures coming up, because it's the VM37 with the straps, with the hood removed, because the VM37 is like a GP5 where it's got the latex hood, whatever rubber they use. The VM37, they've cut it back and they put straps on to cheapen it. Like, depending if you've got the box and everything and it's in good condition, £40+ I'd say. FM12 Peach. No, I've not even heard about those laser point production. They sound interesting. An S8 is going to be hard to come by because there's not many were produced because it was a prototype mask. Alright, cheers, Mechanised and Weaponised. I sent you a Discord link if that was you. Or was it you? Because the person that signed up and gave me a link to their channel, who I sub to, had a different username than you. Let me just... That's annoying, I can't click on your name, can I, and check. I'll read out the first name of the person who gave me a Patreon pledge today, and you can tell me if that was you or not. But I have sent the person a message with an invite to the Discord. Oh no, you've joined up as well. Okay, I've had 2 people join up to Patreon today, because I had a bloke called Larry join up as well. So I'll sort you out a Discord thing after this stream. Thank you, Mechanised and Weaponised. So yeah, I've had 2 people join Patreon today. It's like buses. You don't have one for a while and 2 come along at once. English, Riley. Funnily enough, I'm English. Yeah, as I've said several times in the stream, as far as I'm aware, unknown user, it's a World War II Stahlhelm, where after World War II ended, West Germany converted lots of the leftover helmets into like fireman's helmets and other things. So this one belonged to a bloke called Herklotz Ayen or something. Ayen. There you go. Herklotz. Herklotz Ayen. There you go. This is the helmet belonging to Herklotz. Sorry, Germans, if you're on. I just like the funny German names. Like what you call a German barber. Haircut. What about them, DJ Littlebird? There's an SLR and a Lee Enfield in the background. My favourite helmet out of the modern ones I've got is my British Armed Police helmet. It's called the Commando, but it's basically a Pascut reproduction. But that's the Kevlar 3A helmet. Yeah, the one that made me laugh, Mike, have you seen the one where Frankie Boyle was on some sort of TV show? One of the women on there, like the presenter, said to him, "Do you have Facebook?" He goes, "Oh yeah, I have Facebook." And she says, "What's your Facebook username?" And he goes, "Frankie Boyle." It's just one of those funny things of it should be obvious to most people, but it's not. Yes, Gas Mask God, out for like the 20th time this stream. This is a German firefighter's helmet. You know, it is Stahlhelms. They have converted into a fireman's helmet. Yeah. I'm getting carried away now, aren't I? But pretending to be German, even though Germans don't really sound anything like that. Alright, thank you, Miles Plays Games. If you really want to do that, Oscar, but you can buy, like, reproduction Israeli 4A1s that already have bongs mounted to them if you want to. Oh, no, I didn't see that, but that's pretty cool. Right, let's find one of those for Mike. How much are they? If it's a sensible price, I think Mike should just buy one. I can see one that's Polish MC1 gas mask with FP5 filter. But that's not B-Store selling that, but that's still a good price. That's £11. Where's the B-Store one? Sadly, it won't let you post a link, though, will it, anyway? Why would you take offence to fake accents? Why? If somebody goes, "Oh, you got a licence for that, mate, I wouldn't get offended. Do you have no sense of humour? Is that it?" Ah, I think... I was going to say something, and I think I'd offend you even more. It was about the sense of humour. Yeah, mods have spanners next to their name. That shows they're a mod. Well, the Avon CT12 is my favourite mask, crazy Scott, but I've got lots of videos recommending different masks. Say what, Riley? This is the firefighter Stahlhelm. You know, where they got civil for 2 Stahlhelms, and they said we do not want to appear to be Nazis, so we are going to paint these Stahlhelms bright fluorescent green. They are for firefighters now. I'm not going to put on a mask for this stream. I've already gone over an hour. If you mean is it an M35 Stahlhelm or an M40 Stahlhelm or whatever, I would have no idea. I really do not know how to tell Stahlhelms apart, because there are people that get very anal in YouTube comments. I've noticed about that. A bit like British Mark III and Mark IV helmets. They're almost identical, but there's some very tiny differences. You see, if there were certain gas masks, I can tell you the difference, for example, between a Shum 41 and a GP5, because it's the size of that metal bit underneath. But because my interest in gas masks is stronger than my interest in helmets, you know, that stuff just doesn't stick in my head where somebody goes, "Oh, the ridge is like 2mm bigger on one model than the other." Oh, thank you, unknown user. Are you an extra person as well? Oh, wow. Thanks, you are. Okay. This has been a brilliant stream tonight then for people joining on Patreon. I'll sort your Discord links out as soon as this stream ends. But yeah, this has been brilliant for people signing up for Patreon today and Super Chats. Right, let's have a look. M34 helmet. Right, so the M34 has like that kind of hex, or whatever you want to call it, dot pattern. Yeah, the looking at the sides, the vent holes, or whatever you want to call them, look the same as the M34s I'm getting on Google Image. Some of the ones I'm seeing have like a rivet there or there. This one doesn't have those. Yeah, I don't know enough about them to, you know, with German helmets to know like what rivet pattern should be where and screws should be where on them. And I guess it could vary a little bit from factory to factory, couldn't it, with all those sort of things. I'm not a fan of anybody destroying rare gas masks, EH music, or any other rare, like, historical artifact. If it's something dirt common, like a GP5, I wouldn't really care, because they made so many of them, you know. But if it is a rare mask or rifle or whatever, I think it's pretty shitty if people, you know, destroy them for some sort of art project. But again, we live in a capitalist country, so if they want to buy it with their money and do whatever with it, who am I to, you know, stop them? If somebody wanted to buy historical art pieces and burn them, I guess they should have the right to do that, even though it's a dick move, you know. Can you test that with a magnet? I'd assume that German helmets would have been steel. The visor's probably aluminium, but the visor's held on in a really interesting way, if you hadn't noticed. It's literally held on with a spring at the back. So in theory, you could take the visor bit off of this helmet and put it on a different helmet. Biggie, my answer as always is the Avon CT12. Although the FM12 is the one I store in my car. So maybe I secretly like the not F35, the FM12 more. Avon FM12 is the one I have in my car, but the CT12 is my favourite mask. Right, that gives you, what, 7 years on them? 6.5 years, 7 years on... I'd say for that, yeah. Because if you've got one for a life or death scenario, that money is going to work out, what, something like £5 a year or something like that. And then, yeah, if it lasts you 5 years, you're only spending £5 a year on it. And it would probably last longer, wouldn't it, than that as well, if it's sealed properly. So, yeah, I wouldn't recommend buying a lot for that price, but yeah, if a filter's got 5 to 10 years on the date or something, you know, for around the 30 quid thing, and it's like an ABEC rated one, then yeah, I'd say it probably is worth it. But I'd only have one that, you know, expired in that sort of amount of time. Right, there's a training spear being held by the GB7 mask thing. In terms of swords, though, there's a katana, obviously reproduction. Medieval arming sword made by Hanwei, reproduction, Hanwei, however you want to say it, although they call it the early medieval sword, it's basically an arming sword. A flail, that's not a blade, is it, but it's there. And a US reproduction 1860 sabre, which is a windlass steel craft one, I think. I don't think there's any other blades on that wall that are visible. I'm glad you like these videos, I don't know tutorials. Have you checked out Weapon Collector's channel? Because him, Richard and Peach, who are moderators on my channel, all have good YouTube channels, although Peach has only just started making videos properly. Rich does like blacksmithing, and I've got some of the stuff, I've ordered stuff from him before, and they're good. But Weapon Collector, he's got a channel with like 30 or 40,000 subscribers, something like that. And he does lots of videos on like homemade weapons and like survival bags and stuff like that. So if you like my videos, you probably like Weapon Collector's ones. He's only got like 1 gas mask or 2 gas masks, but you'd still like his videos. eBay. Generally, if you ask me where did you buy X, like nearly everything in the background was bought from eBay except the swords and rifles. So, what you're saying, Riley, I don't know if that is true or not, but if uranium had that many calories per gram, 1 gram of uranium could sustain you for, like, all your life or something. Not that it would be a good idea to eat uranium, but, you know. A uranium diet would not be a good way to lose weight, except, I guess, when you get acute radiation syndrome, and then you would lose a lot of weight as you die. But, you know. The only real perk, EH Music, that actually means anything, if it does mean anything for you, and you can get this from $1 a month, and you only have to pay for 1 month, and then I don't care, you can still stay on, is there's a Discord server I chat with people on now and again, and I'll do at everyone to remind them when I'm streaming and stuff like that. So if you want to chat with me a bit more easily, you can get on a Discord server. I don't voice chat all that often with people. Now and again I do, but for the most part I just text chat with people. So if you want to see this apparently neo-Nazi hive of scum and villainy, which is actually just people shitposting, you can give me $1 a month, or just $1 on Patreon full stop, and then you can get on. But yeah, like I said, it surprised me tonight because I've actually had a few people join up today, just out of the blue, and I've had some really big super chats on this, so thanks as always for the super chats, Laserpoint Productions, and Mink and Match as well, who gave me $20, which is really nice, because, you know, I wasn't expecting that. Sorry, Sporkman, I can't read your writing, but you might be able to, if you can write stuff like that, Sporkman, you might be able to read that poster. When you say the Spetsnaz Mark III, you're on about Soviet titanium helmets, because they cost a lot of money. I just got on eBay. It was actually from, I think, an Estonian company that did reprints of the big Soviet civil defence posters. So it's not cheap. They're like $30, £25 for a poster of that size. But I thought, to me, it was worth it, just because I want a good poster to go on my wall, and that's the sort of thing I find really interesting. Because even without the Soviet names, like I can go, oh, it's a GP5, it's a GP5M, it's a Y2K. That one says PY60M, and I always forget the name, but I'm like, oh, it's that mask, the one that the Liquidators had on the roof of Chernobyl. Look, it's a PDF. Look, it's a GP4. Look, it's the PDF with the XL valve in a different place. Look, there's a kid wearing a GP5. You know. Look, there's GP5 filters. Look, there's like the small coffee can filters they also issued with GP5s. Look, that's how it tells you how to measure your head for a GP5. You know, interesting. Yeah. Alright, cheers. I'll call you Laser from now on. It is easier to remember, certainly, Laser, than going, was it Productions? Or... Whoa, so 1 mg of plutonium has 150 quadrillion calories. So yeah, if you wanted to go on a diet, you should not eat plutonium, because it sounds like 1 gram of plutonium will make you fat for life. Comrade Spoko. Okay. Yeah, I like the losing my words now. Chernobyl TV programme. I thought it was really good. My mum actually wanted to watch the first episode of that with me tonight, so I showed it her, and she thought it was really good, although she was going, who's that person, you know. So I had to explain it. I was like, look, they will explain it as you watch a TV series, even if you don't initially know who these people are. Yeah, I thought the Chernobyl series was really good, but sadly, I think the Russian people themselves like it, but apparently the Russian government doesn't like it, because they've been saying it was actually the CIA that blew up the number 4 reactor. Oh. And that, you know, the Liquidators didn't do anything brave. It was just like a minor incident. Oh. But apparently on some Russian streaming site, Chernobyl has a rating of over 9 out, you know, over 9 out of a rating that goes up to 10. It's like 9.1 or 9.2 or something. So I guess your average Russian really likes it. It's just the Russian government and deep state doesn't like it. Every gas mask I've seen in it so far, Gabe is correct. If you want me to make a complaint, and this is a very, very, very minor complaint, when you see some of the guys with GP5Ms on, those masks, also known as the PMG2, the soldiers that have them on, if you look closely at the filter, it says GP5, or it says RN5, written like that on the filter, you know, what GP5 is in Cyrillic. From what I understand, when Russian military soldiers were issued those masks as PMG2s, they were issued them with EO18K filters. So that's the only technical detail I noticed, but that is something you'd have to be so autistic about to care about, that it has different writing on the same style filter. There is a Putin quote I like, Sporkman. What was it? There's a Putin quote I like where he says, "Those who don't miss the Soviet Union have no heart. Those who want it back have no brain." Which I think is probably a good way of summing it up. You know, but the director of Chernobyl said he didn't want to get involved in too much Soviet bashing, but you have to kind of, you know, understand what the Soviet Union was and all the bureaucracy of it, and, you know, how systems like that are essentially built on lies, to kind of understand why Chernobyl happened in the first place and why it was so bad. Yeah, I thought that was very good they mentioned Holodomor, because I heard a lot of people saying, what's Holodomor? And I obviously don't know about the genocide of Ukrainians. Funnily enough... Oh, it's not funny, is it? But, there's a book on my shelf that goes into great details about Holodomor. Bloodlands. Europe between Hitler and Stalin. A very, very bleak book. But this basically talks about, you know, how people in Poland and Ukraine and everybody suffered, and Hungary, under, you know, both Nazi and then Soviet occupation, or vice versa. You know, and then back to Soviet again. But, you know, it's one of those things where, but yeah, as I find European history quite interesting, obviously I do know things about stuff like Holodomor. But, you know, it is sad that a lot of people just don't appreciate stuff like that. Yeah, because there's different ways of looking at things like that, Sporkman. You could say that, you know, it's just because they were so fucking stupid at how they were taking the grain and, you know, the whole thing of promoting people who were unsuccessful to run farms. You know, because they were calling farmers that were successful kulaks and stuff like that. I might have a look at some point, Laser Point Production, and look for older videos, because I have remade some older videos, but yeah, I could suppose look for older ones again, but off the top of my head I wouldn't know, to be honest. Well, interesting enough, I went in Sporkman, I went to the museum in Hungary. Is it called the Palace of Terror? Something like that, I'm trying to think of the name of it. But it's the one that both the Arrow Cross and then the Soviets used in occupied Hungary for their secret police. The Arrow Cross were like the Hungarian Nazi party, as far as I'm aware. And there's a bit when they get onto stuff about kulaks in there. And they said because there was actually a kulak quota from, like, you know, the secret police, they would go to farms and they'd look at things like your fence posts and they say, oh, your fence is painted the wrong colour, or your fence looks a bit dilapidated, oh, you're a kulak, off to gulag. You know, that was how they did it, because of how fucking stupid these systems were. Are you a Navy SEAL? Are you a Navy SEAL then, Zavi? What media outlet was it where they reported on the Navy SEAL thing and thought it was a real thing, where it's obviously a copy-paster? Yeah, as I've said before, Cass, that, like I said, I'm not going to advocate for communism, because I really don't think it's a good system, but people like Tito, if you compare Tito to Stalin and people like that, Tito probably got the closest to getting communism to work, because Yugoslavia under Tito was certainly a lot more successful than a lot of the countries individually had been before him. And obviously when Yugoslavia broke apart, that was horrible, but again, would it have broken apart so dramatically if you didn't have a strongman like Tito in charge in the first place? And again, this isn't a political stream, so I don't want to start getting into all these really dark you know, topics, but as I said, I will acknowledge now and again that there have been good communist leaders. It's just, in general, I don't think a communist system works. But as I said, I don't think the capitalist system we have in a lot of Western countries works particularly well either. I just think it's better than, you know, an authoritarian police state, quite honestly. Well, in theory, Biggie, it would be that everybody is equal and that everybody should have basic, you know, their needs met. But in reality, those systems don't really do that, do they? And that's the sad thing, is if you look at how many communist countries, and we're getting too much onto politics, I'm going to end the stream in a minute, just to say, if you look at how many communist countries had massive famines, you think, why does a system that's meant to all be about industrialisation and agriculture, you know, and everything being shared, result in these massive, massive failures? Yeah, pretty much, Sporkman. Yeah. That's in Animal Farm, isn't it, Oscar? All animals are equal, but some animals are more equal than others. I haven't read Animal Farm in ages. Maybe I'll buy Animal Farm and reread that. I read 1984 again not too long ago. No, I've got an XM28, but not an XM27. I know the XM27 is like the M17 made out of clear silicon, isn't it? But most of them have gone orange now. But no, I don't have one of them. Yeah, but to be honest, I think China's had the thing now where, you can't send me anything, Kieran, sorry, so don't bother mentioning it. I don't want to sound rude about that, but just I don't accept things from people on YouTube. But the thing is with Chinese communism and a couple of other countries that were communist, they seem to at least kind of get somewhere between a hybrid system of communism and capitalism. You know, where they kind of realised they couldn't stay as this kind of, you know, theoretical idea of working towards communism, I guess you want to call it, and get it to work, you know. Because Vietnam actually turned out fairly well after the Vietnam War. Because I think, obviously, the North Vietnamese and then whatever you want to call the unified Vietnam, was it People's Republic of Vietnam, are they called something like that? I think they realised quite early on that, you know, just going for a Stalinist communist system was not going to work. That's an L1A1 SLR, which is the British-built version of the FAL. That. And there's Lee Enfield up there covered in Soviet gas masks. Yeah, well, if you read some of the stuff Mussolini said, Sporkman, I generally don't think Mussolini was too bad, and I'm sure people are going to use this quote out of context. I think Hitler was a complete cunt and everything, but Mussolini, I think, had a lot of good ideas. But a lot of the things people associate now with fascism are actually Nazi ideas, or National Socialist ideas, but in general, I think, you know, a lot of these systems, fascism probably would work better than communism, just because fascism seems to have a better thought out economic policy. Because especially if they're basing it on Marxist ideas, Marx kind of didn't understand how economics work. And there's lots of socialists now who say basically, yeah, we like Marx's idea, but he didn't understand how economics work. You know, it's only the most die-hard kind of commie Marxists that are like, oh no, Marx's system of economics was brilliant. When it really wasn't, because Marx thought how much time it took to make something to find its value, not the idea of supply and demand. Which, you know, good luck saying I spent 100 hours making this really shitty looking item, therefore it's worth more than, you know, something made in a really well made factory. Yeah, well, the thing is, most of the fascist casts were socialists, weren't they? They were basically communists or socialists. But then they saw what happened with the Russian Revolution, and then they kind of became, they still had socialist ideas, but it wasn't really communism anymore. But the idea was corporations and the government kind of working together, where, again, it's very hard to get into because different fascist states had different ideas of economics, and it's not a political stream and we keep going on to extreme politics. But it's nice that everybody's debating here without calling each other names like Nazi, fascist and commie, isn't it? Right, anyway, I'll probably finish the stream there. As I've already said, Clay, Tito. Because I know in the Soviet Union you could be arrested for saying Titoism is better than Stalinism, or Titoism has, you know, Yugoslavia has better communism than Soviet Union. That was actually gulagable. So, Tito all the way. No, I haven't read that Sporkman, but it might be worth me reading. But yeah, I don't know if that's the kind of book that would get me gulagged in the UK, the way we're going. But I suppose you can read Mein Kampf, can't you? So even though I've never bothered reading that. I think I started that and actually found it quite boring, because I didn't think Hitler was a very good writer, but there you go. Anyway, I will see everybody. Thanks for the stream. Thank you for all the super chats. That's been £38 apparently in super chats, so wow. Thank you, Laser and Mink and Match. Thank you very much for your donations. I do appreciate that, and thank you for the people that have signed up to Patreon. For the new people who signed up to Patreon, what I'm going to do is, as soon as I end this stream, I'm going to send you out some Discord invites. If they don't work, reply to me and let me know, because it seems sometimes with Discord I have to generate more than one invite before it actually works for somebody. But Anyway, right, see you. Thanks for the stream, everybody. This has been a really good one. You can't ship out your XM27 if you're in the US. That would be illegal. Alright. See you, everybody. Oh, thank you again, Laser. What's the read above thing? Sorry? Read above? Question mark. Have I missed a comment? Sorry, I was going to end it there, but I just wondered if I missed something. You said real idealistic communism is probably not easy to achieve. I'd say it's probably impossible to achieve because humans will always be humans and stab each other in the back over stupid things. Was that your comment? Alright, cool. If you want to, just post on Discord what it was you were going to ask me and I'll look into that. But thanks, everybody. I really appreciate this. It's been a really good stream for donations and it's been a funny chat as well tonight. So yeah, cool. See everybody. I will stream tomorrow, but I don't know what time yet. It probably won't be 8 PM in the evening because I've got a rehearsal tomorrow. So it'll probably be in the afternoon UK time at some point, I imagine. But anyway, thank you everybody, and I'll sort out your Patreon Discord invites in a few minutes when I finish the stream. So, thank you. No worries to anybody, and see you all so I can actually finally end the stream rather than saying I'm going to end it and not ending it. So, bye. See ya.